Good morning, everyone. How can all of us manage chronic pain, stress, and anxiety with Ayurveda? Well, this is the topic of our session today. We are talking to Martha Blessing, who is one of the best-selling author. Martha has immersed herself in Ayurveda, holistic healing, and energy medicine for the last 20 plus years. I am Amita from Nourish Doc, a global platform for natural and holistic therapies. I'd like to introduce all of you to Martha Blessing. Welcome, Martha, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday to you and to everyone.
Happy Sunday, and apologies for starting a little bit late. We had some technical issues. So,
yeah.
Okay, Martha, let's get started. So we will. So let's just talk about, what are the top three reasons, that we haven't healed?
Yes.
We talk about the healing process. We talk about, anxiety and stress that's become so rampant during the COVID-19 days. So,
yes, which I'm so grateful why we're having this live right now, because it is continuing and it's going on. So how do we stop this stress response? And how do we look at it from a perspective? What I love about Ayurveda is even though we have these, and we'll talk about this further, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, our body-mind types, we still can't focus just on that. We can't look at this cookie cutter approach that says she has arthritis, and so here is the one size fits all for everything. It's an inflammation, say, in the bone, and I'm going to take turmeric and drink green tea and get my antioxidants up, or I'm going to do all of these things. The beauty of Ayurveda, we look and we say, there's two different kinds of arthritis. The Vata arthritis is caused from dryness because that's a characteristic of Vata types, or maybe as we age, we get drier, right? We know as women, we're putting more and more creams, our skin's getting dry. So let's look, is this arthritis because of dryness? Or if you are a Pitta type in Ayurveda and you have more heat and more fire, could it be that the digestion is off and it's moving? What we'll talk about again a little later on, the Ama, maybe it's moving these toxins that aren't getting absorbed and assimilated in the digest. Maybe it's moving them into the extremities to get them out of the way. And it's all heat. So you would treat those two different ways. One is because of too much dryness, one is because of too much heat. So if we're only going in and giving the same, and I actually had that happen with a client who was a Vata type, and she saw in Dr. Oz that she was going to take all of these things and self-care, and she was drying herself out. She was making the symptoms worse because she was following this cookie cutter approach. So it's really important to look at what's the underlying cause and not just treating the symptoms. Because Western medicine, and I was in that Western medicine for 25 years. Western medicine is only interested in, it's really truly sick care. And I don't say that in a negative way. We need that sometimes, right? To keep us alive until we learn how to really truly manage. How we learn to really truly go into the core of who we are and what's really going on. So with anxiety and stress, if I'm only treating the symptom and I don't get at the cause, then I'm always going to be treating the symptoms and we're never going to get better. We're never going to get better. Our bodies know how to be healthy. And this is the premise that I want people to really understand. My path and my purpose is to illuminate the potential that we have within us to heal. And everyone has it. People will look at me and say, how did you heal? It's a miracle. It's not, it's a miracle that our bodies do know how to be healthy and they do know how to heal. Our hearts beat without us having to do anything. That's the miracle, that life force that's alive in us. And it's a combination of these elements in Ayurveda that we use to bring that into alignment, right? So that we're really in full alignment. So the mental, the emotional stress that's going on right now, what's happening? We're all up in our heads, a lot of us, we're in fear. So when we're in fear, we're not breathing fully, right? And we have this shorter breath. We're sort of contracted. We're scared. We're worried. All of our energy is up here. If we have 100 circuits to run our body, this full, because we are a container of energy, and 75 are up here, what's left down here to run our digestion, to keep our hormones balanced, to keep our adrenal glands and our kidneys and our digestion all working properly? That's the question. And the immune system isn't going to be created by doing things that aren't keeping these in alignment. And eventually it will all lead to the chronic pain. So how does this fit? When we take in our digestive tract is a metaphor for all of life. We take in food, we take in information, we take in emotions, everything that's going on, whether it's our work situation, our family situation, our children, everybody's at home now. There's a lot of change and a lot of shift. And when we're up in our minds, worry, fear, we're not feeding the bottom of our body, the rest of our chakras, the rest of our energy system. And it depletes us. It depletes our energy. What happens? We can't shut this off, so we get insomnia. We don't get a good night's sleep. So we end up not having our body rejuvenate when it's supposed to be rejuvenating and having the cells building and repairing to create and support our immune system, right? That's one piece of it. When that happens, we're in a continuous fight or flight response. We've all heard that phrase before, fight or flight response. So while we're in this fight or flight response, there's actually two kinds of fear. And pahad is a fear that is really life-threatening. Like, this could kill me right here, right now, which a lot of us are in that mindset right now with this pandemic and with fear. But the other kind of fear is just what we create in our minds, but it actually can't kill us. And we ruminate and go on and on about their fear. And that's really when we talk about what is stress, we don't go to the doctor and get a stressometer to measure how much stress we have. Stress is our mental and emotional response to the events that are happening in our life. Some of us are focused on what's happened in the past. Right now, a lot of us are focused on what's going to happen in the future. The future feels uncertain. What this does is keeps us in this constant fight or flight response. When we bring ourselves with things like stillness, breath work, meditation, those things all, number one, they slow down this firing in our brain, the megahertz, right? Our brain waves slows that down so that our body can come into balance and be restored. When we're in constant fight or flight, our adrenal glands, if I'm threatened, if a bear is coming to get me, I go into this stress response and my body shuts down digestion. It shuts down anything that I don't need in order to react to that stress, to that bear. It shuts down my digestion because I don't need digestion to fight or flight. I only need blood to go to my extremities so that I can run or fight. Well, now we're in this constant state. And so ama, which is the toxins that we call in Ayurveda, that accumulates in the body, accumulates in the digestive tract, and our immune system is created in our digestive tract. That's where our immune system, in our gut. So right now, the most powerful thing that we can do to decrease stress, to decrease pain, and to increase our immune systems is to get out of our heads, to do some kind of redirecting, whether it's the breath work or the yoga or the meditation, going for a walk, anything to stop this, move this energy from being up top heavy down into our body, to get grounded and to get centered and actually experience and feel our bodies again. That's one of the best things we can do for our immune system because it takes us out of fight or flight. So what happens is these things are all going to accumulate. This ama, when we can't digest because we're so stressed out, that toxic substance of ama accumulates and the digestive tract can't function. And so it does everything that it can. When we have acid reflux, the pitta types right now, if they're in more stress, they're going to have more acid. They're going to have maybe reflux and they never had it before. They might have, irritable bowel, something like that, where the body's response to the problem is actually being quite intelligent. It's saying, hey, there's all of this stuff here that's in my stomach that's not getting digested. I'm going to increase the digestive enzymes. I'm going to increase the digestive juices to burn this up and get this out of here. But we've got to look at, and this is where Western medicine, when we talk about treating just the symptoms, if I have reflux or if I have a digestive order that's caused by pitta, too much fire, too much heat and burning, and I take the drugs that are going to make it feel better and treat the symptom, great, I don't have any more symptom. But the underlying problem, the core cause of the problem is still there. And that is that for whatever reason, there's not enough energy or it's not balanced between the fire and the air and the earth elements in the digestive tract. We'll talk about those in a minute. They're not balanced. So taking that Prilosec or taking that pill, it's putting out the fire and it's actually causing more harm. Because the body is incredibly wise and incredibly intelligent, and it's actually trying to burn up the ama, right? So this is where the pain comes from, is that somewhere, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, this ama is getting congested in the areas in the tissues. And we need to get at the core cause. And one size fits all isn't going to do that, right? So we want to look at the energetic properties and the elements. And again, how do they relate to creating illness, to creating pain? And I want to look at my notes because I don't want to miss anything. So if I'm a person who's not getting enough restful sleep, here's the energetic properties of food. Why am I going to pitta? For some reason, I'm really relying on pitta today. But if I'm a pitta type, which is the elements of fire and water. And they have a tendency to have a lot of passion and drive. So it's the classic type A in our society. Push, push, drive, drive, grind, grind, hustle, hustle. That's what I call it. And if I'm continuing, even during these stressful times, to push, and my fire element is in excess, this energetic fire, and I'm staying up late and I'm pushing myself and I'm not sleeping, and I end up with fatigue and tiredness. And then I'm drinking more coffee. I mean, this is a classic what we're doing in our Western culture these days. And then I'm drinking more coffee to get through the day. I'm actually pouring more acid and more fire the more coffee I drink. And I'm stimulating myself through the day to keep pushing, to keep driving, while my body is telling me that I need to actually slow down and rest a little bit and turn off the fire and bring in a little, slow it down, bring in a little more peace and ease and grace and gentleness into the mix. Then I'm going at dinner time and having a couple glasses of wine to slow down and calm myself, because I've been pushing and driving, right? Oh, now I can relax. Again, the post-digestive effect, the energetic properties that are involved with the coffee, the energetic properties that are involved with the wine. I'm not against having a glass of wine, but the self-medicating to try and de-stress, again, the post-digestive effect, the energetic property is that it turns acidic in the stomach and the digestive tract. So now we've got the perfect storm going. This is what creates inflammation. This is what causes pain. And I'm also got an acidic environment, and I'm not absorbing and assimilating the nutrients that I'm taking from my food. And that's even if I'm eating a healthy, nutritious diet, which a lot of us during these times are not. We're going for the sugar, we're going for the salt. I had a client the other day who, actually it was a colleague, and we were talking, and she said, I want to do the right things, to eat right, to take care of myself, to do the right things. And she wasn't sleeping. She wasn't practicing really good self-care. And I said, you've been in a really stressful period with your business. And your body is exhausted and it's depleted. And it's not actually your fault that you're reaching for salty and sugary, because you're depleted, right? You're depleted. You're reaching, when we're in adrenal fatigue, the body craves salt. It's actually bringing the water element. When we eat salt, we need more water, the water element. And when we are craving sugar, it's the body trying to correct the energy imbalance, because we're having too much of substances that are causing us to go out of balance, right? So people don't always make that connection with these elements of fire, earth, water, air, and ether. Don't make that connection that, and why would we? Because this is not what we're taught, right? It's truly not what we're taught. My mind is so busy. What does that have to do with my digestion and my stomach? There's no connection there in our Western model for those two. But in Ayurveda, we bring all of these elements together and why they're so important. My passion and my purpose and my mission is to help people really, truly give me a fish, feed me for a day, Teach me to fish, feed me for a lifetime. If I can impart these principles to people and have them and help them understand, even with Amita, this Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, there's a tendency for people to say, I'm this, right? I'm Vata, so I have this. And that's our Western model, our Western culture that seeks that. Just tell me what it is. Tell me what I've got. Give me a diagnosis, which is not as important as it is to learn to feel into who you are and what's really going on in your body. To start to listen for yourself and trust yourself. We are not taught to trust ourselves, to intuit and feel. And we're so busy, fast, what I call Vata deranged, of motion. I'm on the phone, I'm on the electronics. That's very depleting. Very depleting. So let's talk about those Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Yes, we are born with a particular constitution, what we call the dosha. But I even encourage people who are looking at Ayurveda as a means to help them with their health and well-being, don't put yourself in a box. Because I'm Vata Pitta and I live in Western New York, and my age has a factor, my lifestyle has a factor, where I live has a factor. And you could be Vata Pitta, but you're in California and your life is completely different than mine. So it's a guideline to look at these elements, that Vata is related to air and ether. It's the exact person who, back in my day, in grade school, it was somebody we called a space cadet or an airhead, right? Those were terms that we used. And that's the person who's spacey. And we see it defined right there as air and ether and space. So that's everywhere in the body. And that element is responsible for the downward motion in the body. So our digestion, our menstrual cycle. And the tendency is because it's air. It's like, I'm in Western New York today. We're supposed to have 65-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, that's the true definition of what Vata looks like. Where is the wind in the body? Where is the wind in the mind? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, the whole piece. Where is this element of air when we start to think in those terms, right? And then Pitta, the fire, and water elements, that too is our digestion. So if we have too much heat, we have too much fire. That relates to our hormones, that relates to our digestion. It relates to, those are the people that make good leaders, business owners. They have a lot of drive, they have a lot of passion, they have a lot of fire. We want to look at, what does it look like in excess? What does it look like when it's deficient or not in balance? And what other element is causing it to go out of balance? Especially with Pitta dosha, this fire and water. Does the water element come in and put out the entire fire? What things are we taking in? What substances are we taking in that are fueling the fire or fanning the flames or putting it out? And then our Kapha is earth and water. It's that heavy element, which is part of what we really need right now in our culture. Here in the States especially. There may be people listening that are not in the US, but it's no secret everything that's been going on here in the US as far as, our election and things like that. And I think a lot of people started to breathe, a sigh of relief of some kind of, right? There was high anxiety. and there's still lots of fire element going on. And what we really need during these times is to actually have a little bit of breath and earth and water and grounding. Get outside, connect with that earth element that brings us back into our body and allows us to start to ask in any given day, right? If I drink too much tea, which is even healthy for us, this woman that came to me with arthritis, she had a huge bucket of water that she was drinking. And she said, I drink like 5 of these a day. And I'm still so dry, I can hardly move my mouth. And then we dig a little deeper, and she's drinking 6 cups of green tea a day, and she's taking mega doses of turmeric, which are both astringent and drying. And she's Vata. She's already got low amounts of water. She's already dry. So it's back to that cookie cutter approach and thinking, I'm just going to do this all. And the other piece of it is the seasonal approach. You don't ever want to do anything the same all year long. Seasonally. So at the change of seasons, the fire type, we want to get the fire. Everybody wants to get the fire into whatever degree they have fire in their constitution at that time. They want to get the fire and the heat out of their body so that they can not have that dryness going into the winter or fall seasons. So for me in Western New York, we're getting into the cold. You, Amita, you're still in warm weather.
That's right, yeah.
So the amount of, you still have fire, and you probably would have to spend more time. This is what I want people to understand is, depends where you live, depends what your age is. And someone who is in their 40s has way more fire and hormones and everything energy going out and heat, and they're in California, they're going to have to spend more time looking at and managing that heat in the body so that it's dissipated. The body's a little cooler. Now, when we're in Western New York and it's cold now, we want the heat out, because if there's too much heat in my body now and I come indoors where it's dry, my body's like a desert, right? Too much heat, too dry. And then if I'm taking in too much tea, too much coffee, too much dry foods, if I'm eating a lot of crackers or beans or things that absorb water, things are not going to run as smoothly. My digestion is going to go out of balance. And then just as you've put up here with Vata, I'm going to have disorders that are going to affect the functions in my body with my circulation. What happens if the body starts to dry out? Then the blood gets sticky. It doesn't circulate. It doesn't deliver all the nutrients to the body. And that element regulates our menstrual cycles. Like I said, it helps to regulate our heartbeat, our breathing, our circulation. So when that's out of balance, and sadly, this is where it's very much related to our central nervous system. So it's no question, it's no wonder. I can look at most people who will have low back pain or sciatica or nerve problems. The first thing I look at is that Vata element and what's going on with Vata. But I also look at what is the fear, what is the anxiety, what are the ruminating thoughts about? always taking into account those physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And right now, we're all in that, what I call very vata deranged. I can say for the most part, someone who could be pitta kapha, this is again why we don't go into this box of saying, I'm just this. Because in any given moment, right now, we have a lot of air element in our collective culture in the US, and I'm sure in other states as well. Because there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty with a pandemic. And so even though you might go online or you might work with a practitioner and will say, okay, I'm pitta kapha, so much of life has gone to Zoom and being online. The electronics can be very, cause people to feel scattered, being on the screen all the time. We know that being with the electronics, and we need to have downtime from the screens. We're not only working on screens remotely, we're catching live streams like this remotely, we're doing yoga classes remotely, we're doing all of these things digitally, and we're not getting a break. And because we don't go out as much and we can't, get together with as many people, we're not energetically feeling connected. We're literally with this air element sort of having an out of body experience, right? We're not present in our body, feeling our energy, getting grounded and centered. It's the most important thing I teach people right now, is to develop a practice that is going to help you get out of your head and into your body. And also take some supplements that help you sleep. We're not always in a perfect state. We can get there when we know what the underlying cause is. But we're at some very, very heightened stages right now where we need to really feed ourselves very, very well. Nourish ourselves in what we eat, in what we say, in what we do, and how we spend our time. Take a break from the social media, take a break from the electronics as much as possible, and get grounded and centered to balance anything that is anxiety, stress, and fear. Because that is our mental and emotional response, as we said, to events that are happening in life. How much of this can we control? And where would we better serve our mental energy? By allowing some of those circuits to come down and actually help our body do the processes that it's meant to do. Pitta energy controls the metabolic systems. We talked about that: digestion, absorption, nutrition, our body temperature. Everything happens in the gut. No one really thinks about this. They're waiting, and I don't want to get all into politics or, the science or anything else. However, this idea of we're waiting for a vaccine, we have so much control over our bodies and what we put into it and how we truly build. Everything that we are is this pitta. We take in food, we chew it up, we digest it, and then our body takes those nutrients and sends it out to feed all of the cells in our body. So we really truly are what we eat, that raw material. Now we can take this back to, what are the energetic principles of what I'm eating? Right? Certain foods are grounding. Certain foods are warming. Certain foods are cooling. I'm not going to eat a cold raw salad with cucumbers in New York when it's 30 degrees out. Those are all cooling. But our mindset is, let me Salads are healthy. I'm going to eat salads every day, but it depends where you live, whether your body can digest that or not and take the nutrients from that. So in the warmer months with Pitta and fire, we have higher digestive fire at certain times of year. That's why we change our diet seasonally and don't eat the same things all the time. So when it's in balance, Pitta leads to peace, joy, contentment. Qualities of Pitta are sharp and oily. So Pitta types don't do well with a lot of oil in their diet. But if they decide they want to lose weight and they start eating keto, and they eat keto and they eat fat and they eat oil and they drink MCT oil, this is why the cookie cutter doesn't work. It's unique and individual to you. So when it's out of balance, and if you're adding too much oil, here's the correlation. If you're Pitta and you decide you want to lose weight and you go on a keto diet and you're taking in all of this fat and your body has already got an oily constitution, and then you wonder why you have reflux or ulcers or IBS or any of those digestive hypermetabolic states, it's because your body is intelligent and it's secreting more enzymes to try and deal with all of that heavy fat and elements that you already have too much of. When you continue eating that way, or you don't pay attention and you start taking the Prilosec, it puts out the fire, makes it worse. And out of balance, it also causes a lot of anger and agitation. A lot of anger and agitation, which we too have been seeing that as well over the last several months. So we have a tremendous amount of Pitta energy going on in the world, in the US, and we have a tremendous amount of Vata. Very scattered and a lot of anger and agitation. And the solution to that is Kapha. You timed that perfectly. So the Kapha element really is what we need to bring more of into our lives and our bodies and our minds, is this idea of water and earth. It couldn't be more perfect and more divine than it is right now. Think about the ocean. Think about being in nature. Think about being on the, on the riverbed, on the creek somewhere. In that feel, even if it's a fountain, it's a good time to actually, I guess Pier 1s are closing or whatever, but it's the time, they used to have the water. It's a good time to bring a fountain into your home, into your environment, some kind of water element, to be able to hear and listen to that little bit of trickle and to be able to feel that flow. Kapha is the energy, if I had to give an example of, it feels like a newborn baby, right? They're smooth, they're soft. Like that's the energy we need to bring in now to calm all of the stress. The mental energy is this idea of water and flow. If we bring more ease, more grace, more things that are gentle. This idea of, baby's skin is so soft. All they do is eat and sleep. That's the heavy earth energy of Kapha. And it brings us back into our bodies. It brings us back into our connection of who we truly are. Of that love and that forgiveness, that gentleness. Kapha energy is like this. I used to call it, as far as when you think of like an EKG or a wave that measures energy, Vata is this curvy roller coaster that goes like this. Pitta is the sharp lines, very direct. And Kapha is just the flat line, smooth, easy, steady. And we all need some of that steady energy right now that brings us back into our bodies and out of our heads. When it's out of balance and there's too much water element, then we see classically asthma, lung disorders, kidney and bladder, anything that has to do with the water balance in our bodies. Fluids, anything, our blood. And when it's out of balance, we also see people who are envious and who feel insecure on the emotional level. Okay. So we can bring these properties in a lot of ways. We can bring it in with what we do, with meditation, with stillness, with breath work, with yoga. Even just standing for 2 minutes, even if you don't have good balance, even just standing and trying to do a tree pose, right? That's something that's rooting and grounding and bringing you into your root chakra. We're sitting and breathing and really making an effort and an attempt to bring energy down into your belly, or to just sit for a couple minutes in a chair. It doesn't have to be this big, magnanimous, I'm going to do a great big, huge yoga class. If you have kids home, if there's a lot of activity and environment, just stop. Go sit in the other room for 3 minutes. Close the door. Get in the chair. Put your feet on the floor. And just breathe. Just get back into your body. And your mind will start to tell you something, and you just say, listen, it's okay. The world's not coming to an end in the next 3 minutes. Let me just sit here and breathe. Let me get into my body. Let me focus on my feet on the floor, on my butt's in the chair. Okay, right here, right now, I'm present in my body. It's the most simple thing that we can do. But just for the time, you've slowed down your megahertz of your brain firing 24/7. You've taken a little bit of that stress response, that fight or flight, just for a minute. You're not in fear of safety and survival. Make sense? Treating symptoms, not getting to the core cause. We talked about that. It's very linear. If I go in and I get a diagnosis, this was true in my life. You have fibromyalgia. So what? How did I get that? We've been programmed to believe that our body is going to break down and get sick and turn against us. All healing is self-healing, but it starts with a choice and a belief that your body knows how to be healthy. And there is order. Just because they tell me I have fibromyalgia, okay, great. But if my body knows how to be healthy, if we ask a different question, we get a different answer. Okay, Ayurveda says that all illness comes from a failure of intellect. If I created this, the beauty of it is that I can uncreate it. And just because medicine says I have this, I believe my body knows how to be healthy, because I know that I'm sitting here talking to all of you and I don't have to make my heart beat. It's doing it on its own. I don't have to remind myself to breathe. It's doing it on its own. Your body has wisdom, it has intelligence, it has a balance of these elements, and it knows how to be healthy. Even in what appears to be chaos in the world right now, For as long as I've been alive, the North Star and the Big Dipper is in the same place in the sky every single day. And our body is no different. There is divinity and there is order. And all we have to look at in our bodies is where in our physical, mental, emotional makeup and these elements of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and ether, air, wind, fire, where are they out of balance in me? And how do I start to know and learn and love and cherish this container of energy enough to want to know myself well enough to know when I'm going out of balance and know what to do to bring it back into balance? And the stillness that was the love meditation when they gave me that diagnosis of fibromyalgia was that I learned how to bring that truth and that element into myself rather than focus on this linear, now let me just take this pill or do this thing and I'm stuck with this forever. That's what Western medicine wants us to believe. But we've been programmed to believe this. We've been programmed to believe this. And so that linear approach of a pill and a bill, a symptom, even in functional medicine is a few steps better than some of the other care, but they're still concerned with, oh, you're deficient in calcium, you're deficient in zinc, you're deficient in this. Why? I want to know why. That's still treating a symptom. If my body knows how to be healthy, and it does, when we have this perfect balance of elements, what is happening that's causing me to be deficient in calcium? Because my body knows how to function well. So what's happening? That's where I want to look. That's what I want to question and ask a different question. Otherwise, we're just continuing to do sick care, even in the functional medicine, which, like I said, it's better. At least it's very specific and focused. Well, what's happening that I feel that this is out of balance? And honestly, I feel, Amita, it's definitely a case of people at this stage and point in time of learning how to really choose whether or not they're going to believe that their body knows how to be healthy, and can they trust themselves to do it? Can we stop giving our power away to everything and everyone outside of us? And can we start to choose to believe? Because once we have that belief and we choose it, all of the universe lines up for us. All of the resources, all of the things will come into our field in our existence. My top 12. My top 12 of how do we restore health and quality of life. One of my mentors once told me, don't ignore, it was a particular point. He said, don't ignore this. It's so enigmatic. It's so simple. You'll be tempted to believe that it's too simple and it has to be harder. We've been led to believe that creating health has to be hard. And it's not that hard. If you follow these 12 steps, and I go in depth in them, you can get the free guide at lifealteringtips.com. Number one, find someone that you work with that gives you a personalized approach, that sees you, that hears you, that listens to you, that talks to you, that asks questions, that gets at the core of what's going on. Learn to heal your gut. and your brain. Make a detoxification a regular practice. In Ayurveda, we do that at change of seasons at least twice a year, from summer to fall. We focus on getting the heat out of the body, which helps get rid of the inflammation. And then from the winter and early spring into summer, our detoxification is focused on getting all the heaviness and the mucus out of the body from winter. Manage stress, which we talked about, is the big one right now. Moving naturally. Over-exercising does not serve our bodies. I decided a few months ago I was going to go out and really shake things up. And I went and ran 8 miles, and I put myself right into a overdrive. So move naturally. Intermittent fasting is very, very beneficial. It doesn't have to be hard. It's just giving your body a break for a little while. Could be a few hours, could be 12 hours. Eating a variety of plant foods. Why do I feel that's so important? Because when we talk about energetic principles, if you eat dead foods, you're going to have a dead body. Let's just put it that simply. If you eat things that are processed and packaged that have no life force in them, they're not going to nourish and nurture you, especially during times of stress. If you eat things that contain the elements from earth, air, sun, water, things that have a life force and an energy because they're grown, they will support your body. Drink at least only 1 cup of tea a day. Let it be green tea. There's so many nutrients in tea. Eating healthy fats. Our brain needs healthy fats. I know so many people who completely avoid fat. Even the people who are pittas, they still can eat fat in moderation. They'll eat less of it in the summertime and more of it in the wintertime. Our seasonal rotation of our diet. That's what's so important, is to eat seasonally. We don't want to eat the same thing all year round. That's really funny. It says eat quality sleep. Oh, okay, wait, eat quality sleep. Get quality sleep. We'll go with that. Your body needs to sleep. If you are not sleeping, you will not have good health. If you're not sleeping, please reach out to me. I will help you sleep. And it will not be Ambien or Trazodone. Because understand that when you take sleep aids, what I love about Ayurveda is if I do recommend any kind of supplements or herbs to anyone for sleep, they're actually correcting the imbalance of too much air and elevated vata. People who don't sleep, there's one of 2 reasons. They either can't fall asleep because their mind is too busy, or they fall asleep and they wake up around 2:30 in the morning. And that's because the second cycle of vata in our 24-hour biorhythm day starts at 2 a.m. So even while we're sleeping, vata is acting up and gearing up. When you take a medication, it doesn't correct the imbalance, even melatonin. We're not sleeping because we have a deficiency in melatonin. We're not sleeping because vata energy is too high in its movement. And when you correct that, your body will sleep. And there's lots of ways to do that. But if you just take the pill, it's like a hammer, right? Why I keep doing this, it's like a hammer. It just pounds you to sleep, but the underlying cause is still there. And that's the vata imbalance. And then the last piece, obviously, is getting sunlight. Vitamin D. Everybody knows when it's sunny out, we feel better. And it's so important for so many of the processes in our body. So that's everything.
This is absolutely beautiful. We are actually, we can take a couple of questions. We are over the time. It was absolutely beautiful, Martha, the way you explained it. I don't think I've attended so many of these webinars. The way you explained it was so beautiful, so simple and easy to understand. A lot of time, and I hope our viewers felt the same way, but I did. I just want to say, yes, it was beautifully explained. And it all makes sense, the way you put it in a simple way and brought all the pieces together of the puzzle. But, you know, we talk about, or we hear all these Sanskrit names, which are not easy to comprehend, but the way you brought all those things together, it was comprehensible. So questions, we can take one question. I'm so sorry, we started late and we have to end because we have another session right now and we are kind of running late for that.
Running over,
yeah, we went a little bit over, but I do want to you know, give a chance. Okay, so we have a question. All right, so we have only a couple of minutes to take our questions. I'm really sorry. So there's one question. Could you please share a couple of few domino effects or perfect storm that would lead to chronic pain? Is it always manageable? So we can take a couple of minutes. Is that okay, Martha? We'll have to end it in a couple of minutes.
And I will say this much, anybody that has questions that didn't, you know, we didn't get to here, please reach out to me and send me an email or reach out to me on Facebook. I will, you know, either put them into a video or a blog post or something and answer them for you.
Yeah, and you can send it to our email. I put it, yes, absolutely. This is the email, care@nourishtalk.com. I put it up on the on our shared slide. I'm really sorry that we, you know, we can, Martha, I don't know, we could do a wellness program or a workshop, you know, in the new year, because I think
absolutely
what is so beautiful that we want to give people a chance to ask questions and do other things. So
it's so much easier. What I really want people to take away is it's so much easier. And I thank you for saying that it was presented well, because it really truly is so much easier than people are led to believe. There's a very simple path to follow. And to answer that question really quickly about the dominoes and chronic pain, you know, I personally have reversed 10 years of daily chronic pain, and I'm no different. Understand that when we talk about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, air, fire, water, you know, all of these elements and these three doshas, it doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. It is all the same in that something is causing that inflammation and that pain. And when you get to what that is, you reverse it. My body, your body isn't any different in that it has all of these elements. You just have to get them in balance. And when you do that, whatever the quote diagnosis is, goes away. Whether, you know, it's arthritis or fibromyalgia or sciatica or whatever, yes, you can reverse it.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, the body knows how to be healthy.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Martha. I think it was, thank you. And I hope, please give us the feedback. I hope all the viewers felt the same as I felt. It's absolutely beautiful session. Please give us the feedback. If you need to get in touch with us, I wrote down our email, care@nourishtalk.com and www.nourishtalk.com. We will be bringing the workshop with Martha at the, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
amazing.
Mary.
Yes, thank you. We'll be bringing the workshop in the new year with Martha. I think most of you would really enjoy, and I would enjoy that. With that, I'd like to end this session. Namaste, Martha.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a great
day. Talk to you soon.
Yes.